Good morning and welcome to the Queer Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is cryptocurrency. We get to talk about money and what this whole cryptocurrency thing is. I'm not presenting myself as an expert, but I've been playing in that space and we're hearing so much about it. I thought it would be good to have a conversation about it. We sort of started talking about it yesterday, so we're going to follow through and look at it a bit more closely today. So before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, any stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, electrifying, energizing, illuminating all your cells, all your organs, all your molecules and your electrons, and just beaming from the inside out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's just gently press our palms together and very softly, softly, softly rub your fingers against your palms to feel the deliciousness of that sensation and to allow yourselves to become present right here, right now, to these magnificent bodies that allow us to experience the magnificence of life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So this is maybe a bit of a departure because we're going to be talking about cryptocurrency. And I think it's actually a really interesting topic because it has potential to be changing the way we operate in the world in terms of finance. And you've probably heard of Bitcoin. And actually, Bitcoin's been around for some years now. It evolved out of the 2008 crash, where people realized that they just had no control over their finances, that the big banks were kind of running the world. And the idea behind Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies is to have a decentralized ledger, decentralized control of money. And what that means, I'll just talk about what my first exposure was to Bitcoin. It was some years back, and I wanted to get some Bitcoin. And the way that I went to get Bitcoin was there was an ATM machine in a neighborhood that was it was an immigrant's neighborhood. And I went to that machine, and what you do is, or what I did was I deposited cash into that machine, and then I was issued Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin is not coins that you can hold. So it's a kind of new concept around money, although it's not that new when you think about using credit and debit cards, right? That's all digital. We're not actually holding cash in hand and transacting with cash. We're transacting through the digital environment. So anyway, what I got back essentially was an address that was a bunch of digits and maybe letters that represented my holding in Bitcoin. So there is a wallet, and this transaction where my cash is deposited and Bitcoin was returned. That transaction is recorded on what is called a distributed ledger. And so it's kind of like a balance sheet, that records every transaction and its time, and it's stamped in a unique and traceable way, that it's not necessarily traceable to the person that made that transaction, but it's traceable to the transaction itself is documented, so that this amount of Bitcoin was purchased on this time and this date at this fee, etc. And then the record of that is purely 100% digital. So it's something that you would keep track of on a wallet, or by keeping a record of this sequence of digits that then gives you claim to that currency. So you could think about it kind of like a lottery ticket, except with the lottery ticket, you're holding something physical in your hand. With Bitcoin, it's digital, although you could print it out. So if you lose a lottery ticket, you lose. Even if you won, you lose, because it's irretrievable, right? There's no tracing it. There's no record of it. It's gone. And so with digital currency, if you lose access to your wallet, and the way that you access your wallet is through something called a key phrase. It's a sequence of a bunch of different words that give you access to this repository that is uniquely yours. If you lose that key phrase, you're out of luck. And you don't, essentially, it's interesting because when Bitcoin first started, I think that the first transaction with Bitcoin was to buy a pizza. And it was worth fractions of a penny, I think, at that time. I'm not certain of the value of it, but people didn't perceive that it had any value. And now one Bitcoin is valued at $60,000, with expectation that it's going to go over $100,000, possibly by the end of the year. And the thing about cryptocurrency to be aware of is you can kind of think about it a little bit like the stock market, in that or foreign exchange trading, where you're trading on a marketplace that is pretty volatile, and cryptocurrency is way more volatile than stocks. But it's a whole new market, essentially. And the thing that is unique about, or that's most important about cryptocurrency, is this idea of a distributed ledger. So when there's a transaction, the way that transaction gets implemented is through verification through a network. So if we recognize that we're all playing on the internet, right? What is the internet? It's a network of connected computers, essentially, that and servers that have the ability to call information forward from that server. So when we type in a URL for a website, facebook.com or whatever, when you put a URL in for that website, that name is linked to an address, essentially, of a computer somewhere that has an application on it that is that website, and it delivers that website. So it's this interconnected network. That's why it's called the internet. So when we are looking at cryptocurrency, we're looking at this distributed ledger. And the way that it gets verified is that there are a whole bunch of what they call nodes, or computers that are doing processing to check or to record this transaction. And with Bitcoin, those people or those nodes are called miners, and they're running these algorithms that are kind of randomized to finally find the right number. It's kind of confusing, but anyway, let's just say that you have a bunch of these different locations that are receiving this transaction, and they are verifying it by running these algorithms on the computer. And then when there are a certain number of verifications, then that transaction goes through. The thing about it is that because it's being verified by these different locations, it becomes something called a distributed ledger. And if one of those nodes breaks or goes down or gets lost, there's still other factors or other sources that have verified that transaction. It then gets added to the ledger. The ledger is a history of all the transactions. So the fact that it's distributed is the idea. You might hear the word decentralized when in relation to cryptocurrency. And that's because of this distributed ledger. That's the idea, is that it's not a bank. For instance, you don't go into the bank and the bank says, yes, you can have a loan. No, you can't have a loan. What's happening is that the finances are becoming, some people say, democratized because it isn't reliant upon a central bank. So there's so many facets to this whole cryptocurrency conversation. And as I said, I'm not positioning myself as an expert by any means. I just want to have a conversation about this, and just to be introducing the concept to people, because it is a revolutionary way to be dealing with money and value. And it has brought up a lot of consideration about what is value, what do we value, and how is wealth built. I don't know if you're aware, but I find it disconcerting and amazing that in order to make certain investments, you need to, in order to qualify to make certain investments that don't require a minimum amount of money, you need to be what they call a qualified investor, which means that you have to either have a net worth, I think, of $1 million, or you have to earn over $200,000 a year, something like that, in order to even have access to certain investments that don't require any kind of minimum amount invested. Now, what's up with that? It's a very paternalistic system to say, well, if you're not making this much money, then you don't have the intelligence or the right to invest in these vehicles that could generate potential wealth. And that's something else that really, really appealed to me about the cryptocurrency arena, because as of this moment, and certainly up until this moment, you could invest in cryptocurrency no matter how much money you had or didn't have. And when I first started, I started with like $50. And, I had to scrape it together at that point, to find an extra $50 here or there to put into cryptocurrency. And those investments, I'm gratified to say, I'm thrilled to say that those investments have returned or are returning remarkably well, and way beyond what I might have been able to do in the stock market. And so like it's risky. Any investment is risky, the stock market is risky, and cryptocurrencies, investing in cryptocurrencies is probably way more risky. But there's a phenomenal opportunity, and lots and lots and lots of young millionaires are being minted through this cryptocurrency boom. And the reason it's mostly, a lot of young millionaires is because they might have been on top of the technology earlier, and also maybe were less risk averse. But there are, right now, it's interesting because cryptocurrency, like the market too, goes through cycles of bullish and bearish markets. So a bullish market is a market where things are going up, and a bearish market is a market where things are going down. And right now, between this moment till the end of the year, things are accelerating. Things are going very bearish, and I'm sorry, very bullish. And it's sort of a cycle that happens every several years, every 4 years or so, with cryptocurrency, where there's a boom and then a bust. And I'm not advising you in any way. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not advising you in any way to get into cryptocurrency, but I am advising you to learn about it, because it is going to be shaping our future. And one of the other reasons that it's going to be shaping our future is due to something called smart contracts. And a smart contract is essentially a programmed agreement that executes when certain triggers are met, when certain signals are given. And so you may or may not have yet heard about NFTs. That's the letter NFT, and it stands for non-fungible token. And what that means, something that's non-fungible is something that's unique. So dollars are fungible, meaning that $1 replaces another dollar. They're of equal value, whereas something that's non-fungible is actually unique. And I guess we can say, in a way, our dollars are unique because they have the unique serial numbers on them, but they don't have distinct values associated with those different dollars. And that's a general observation, because obviously there are people that do collect, currencies or coins or dollars, but that is sort of outside the general function of that means of exchange. So if you guys are commenting, I'm not seeing any comments, so that's why I'm not responding. Just wanted to let you know. And I know that this is an unusual topic for our morning conversations here on Enlightened World Network, but I think that this is an important thing for us to be paying attention to, because it is going to be shifting the way that we do business and commerce and exchange of property. So I was just mentioning smart contracts. So a smart contract, ultimately, it's very likely that we will be able to eventually exchange property, like physical real estate, with something like a smart contract, maybe through an NFT, or because NFTs are driven by smart contracts. But with this blockchain, it may eliminate the need for 30 days for closing and lengthy title searches, because all the information regarding a property, for example, would be already existing on the blockchain all in one place. And we would be able to verify that and decide based on that information that's already there and already complete. And who knows, it might eliminate the need for title searches. This is not existing now. This is the evolution, most likely, of the technology that's already in place and evolving, as I said. So the interesting thing right now, there's it is kind of the wild, wild west. And this NFT thing is also a big wild, wild west kind of thing too. What is being traded now is, it kind of makes the mind go in a whirl, is digital images, for example. Some of them are cartoons, lots of them are cartoons, and people are paying ridiculous amounts of money for these things through cryptocurrency, and like millions of dollars in some cases. And there is a lot of craziness associated with this, as far as I can tell so far. When I first heard about NFTs, I didn't know what to make of it at all. It was just like, are you crazy? This is insane. People spending this kind of money for a digital file. It's not even that they have copyrights on it. It's that they're purchasing a digital file. I think there was the first Twitter tweet. Good morning, Josie. So good to have you here. Thank you for chiming in and saying hello. We're talking about cryptocurrency and the craziness that and change that it's going to bring about in our world. And anyway, so somebody sold the first tweet, like rights, I guess, rights or ownership of the first tweet, and it was, I don't remember if it was millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars, but it was like an insane amount of money. And then these things are transferred by smart contracts. So one of the cool things for artists and musicians around NFTs and these smart contracts is that it's possible, for instance, you know how an artist might create a series of prints, maybe 100 prints, and each print would be numbered. So for instance, a musician could be selling a song and selling them as numbered elements of this song, or even as a fractional ownership of that song. But with the smart contracts, one of the things that can be built into a smart contract is like a residual, so that if you buy the song or you buy my digital piece of art, and I'm going to be releasing Maggies, which are images of Maggies. So this is really exciting to me because I see it as a way to raise money for the Eco Park project that has been my life's purpose. So anyway, if you bought a Maggie, let's say you bought it at $300, or who knows, $3,000, whatever it is. Let's say you bought it for $300 and then you resold it. In that smart contract, I can have a clause that says, well, when you get paid your $3,000, I get paid 10% of whatever that is. Every time it's resold, as the artist, I get a residual or a commission. And this is a beautiful thing for artists whose work has been co-opted by systems, distribution systems, right? For instance, rather than the artist having to pay iTunes, they would be getting paid every time that song is resold. And so there's so many aspects of this that are really, really interesting to me. There's community building because people are doing these, collecting things, and then there's a whole secondary marketplace where people are trading these things. It's kind of like trading baseball cards or Pokemon cards or whatever, where you get a collectible and then there's a demand for it, and as the demand grows, the price grows, and there's a huge marketplace for this, and a bunch of different platforms
where these NFTs are being sold, art particularly. So there's one called OpenSea, OPENSEA. If you want to go there and check it out, and I guarantee you it's going to blow your mind to see some of the goofy things that people are spending ridiculous amounts of money for. But it's kind of like the pet rock phase of NFTs, I think. But another platform is Rarible, RARIBLE, and it might be OpenSea.io rather than .com. I'm not sure, and maybe also with Rarible too. I'm not sure. But anyway, there are bunches of these platforms, and there's a lot of it springing up. It's kind of, like I said, it's the wild, wild west, where it's a new technology, but it has really far-reaching ramifications. And we get to be paying attention to that, to see that that we really, that things are changing, that we do have access to an opportunity to build great wealth, and to also be on the cutting edge of this technology evolution. If you want to learn about blockchain and about Bitcoin, there's a website called 99 Bitcoins. And I recommend that you check that out. They have all kinds of tutorials. You can go to Coinbase.com, which is also an exchange, and they also have a lot of educational material there. But please do yourself a favor and start getting involved, start learning about it, start understanding what's going on, because now all kinds of institutions are institutional organizations, banks and hedge funds and all are jumping onto the cryptocurrency bandwagon. And I don't imagine that it's going away anytime soon, because there's so much buy-in from so many different big organizations, even like MasterCard and Twitter, and it's all over the place. So do yourself a favor, jump in and learn about it, and there's a lot to learn, but it is something that's going to be shaping our future. So I think that we have a responsibility to ourselves to be aware of what it is, rather than some kind of amorphous thing that leaves us kind of confused and behind. It is confusing. I'll say that it is a lot of new concepts and a lot of new language, but really, really worthwhile. And I hope you will check into it. So with that, lots and lots of love. I know it's kind of off, unexpected on a broadcast on the Enlightened World Network, but I think that it fits in with the idea of thinking newly, thinking about things in a new way. And we talk about abundance and scarcity and all of that. And I think that there are all different vehicles for abundance, and learning about how all this cryptocurrency stuff works, I think serves us in moving toward that end. So lots and lots and lots of love to you. So much appreciation for your time and your energy and your engagement. And until next time, live free and prosper.